What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Irene, the motherfucking Passion Queen, and we're finally back. The Queendomme is back in full effect. This is the entertaining ramblings of a single millennial female trying to figure out adulting. We talk about life, love, sex, and everything in between. What's popping? What's happening? What's good? So this is about to be a very interesting time. Um, this is my first time doing this. So we're gonna see how this go. What up? Ain't no book to this shit. What up, Shay? What up, Mr. Smell Good? You know what I'm saying? So make sure y'all share this out, send it to your people, tell everybody to come in. It's about to be an entertaining, dope ass conversation. And I'm super excited to have these two beautiful ladies on the show with me, two dear, dear friends of mine. Love them much. So, of course, we got Miss Shoopy in the motherfucking building. And then we got Sam Bam, Miss Kitty if you're nasty, in the building today. So, right. And it's the start of Gemini season. Welcome to Gemini season, y'all. As you see, we got our crown on today because we is in full effect. We are ready for all the shenanigans. So, as you guys can see, the title today of the show is Love Languages versus Kinks. So, this particular topic came up actually from a conversation that Chupi and I were having one day, and it kind of sprawled into talking about how the five love languages, if you've ever heard of it, which are acts of service, quality time, physical touch, words of affirmation, and gifts are the five love languages, right? That they always talk about. But we were talking about how these things can also transfer over into BDSM and it matches up with a lot of the kinks that you have. For example, um, words of affirmations is a really big one for me. So, praise kink, the grading praise kink, how you say things to me is extremely important, right? So we kind of started talking about that, and I really wanted us to be able to sit here and kind of expand on it. Hopefully, you guys know what some of your kinks are in the comments. If you do, please feel free to drop them if you are comfortable sharing. If you know what your love languages are, please feel free to drop those as well in the comments if you feel like sharing. Um, so Samantha, I know I kind of waited to the last minute to kind of give you a quick little snippet of what we were talking about today. But the main reason I wanted to make sure you were here today is because of your connection with BDSM and spirituality. And I thought that would be a good addition to the conversation. So let me hear your thoughts, particular about this situation, if you don't mind.
Mhm. So for me, I teach, and I'll put my info below, but I teach conscious kink. So BDSM and spirituality, like Irene said, but specifically for Black folks. So when we talk about the five love languages, we have to think about it from a conscious standpoint, from my perspective, because I teach conscious kink. So those five love languages were created by a fundamentalist, a white man. So just putting that out there, it did not really take into consideration queer folks. It didn't take into consideration the queer experience, the Black woman experience. It was just from a male, female, submissive, dominant standpoint. And there has been some evolution of those. So for me, definitely words of affirmation kind of aligns with one of my kinks, which is praise, but I add worship onto praise. So when I talk about praise kink, I add worship because I consider myself an altar and an offering as a submissive. I'm an altar, I'm an offering. And so you can't have praise for me without worship. And it's mutual. It might not look the same, but it will feel the same because the way that a Dom is worshiped and the way that I, as a true submissive, like to be worshipped differs a little, but the underlining thing is that it's still worship and it's still mutual. Um, I guess for me, acts of service would fall into servitude, being submissive, allowing your submissive energy to be at the forefront, and someone actually um, honoring that. I think, when we talk about, when I tell people, when I slide my credentials across the table, when I am interviewing a potential dominant, I always say, I am a true submissive. You don't get brat energy over here. You don't get that. So you need to be the type of dom that values acts of service, because I'm going to do all of those things. I'm going to make you my full-time job. I'm going to worship you. I'm going to expect that you take care of all of the mundane things that I don't want to have to deal with as a submissive. I don't want to have to think about what I'm going to wear. And in return, again, you become my full-time job. So my goal is to be in a 24-hour, 365 days a year dynamic, like a full-time submissive. I want that to be my job. So I think acts of service for me is important. Um, there are other love languages that I consciously need, but they're not the ones that fall in alignment with the five.
Mhm.
Like for me, safe spaces is going to be a love language, because we're thinking about this consciously. Someone being intentional, that's a love language. Someone being woke and enlightened, that's a love language. Monogamy is a love language for me. So all of these fall outside. So when people are writing like what their love languages are, I challenge you to think about it from a conscious perspective. And maybe yours might fall outside of the five, like mine do. Like sex is a love language for me, because some people can have a lot of touch, because physical touch is a love language, but they're not getting fucked properly. They're not
Mm.
getting sex properly. So they're not getting that. So sex for me is a love language.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good point, because if you start looking at it like that, something that is outside of those five core love languages that they always talk about, something for me that is a really important love language is support. Like being able to have someone who is supportive of me in every aspect, every way. I can like they're supportive of who I am as a person in general is really, really huge, because being a person who has gone throughout life majority of the time curating a version of myself to make other people comfortable is very important, that I'm able to be 100% myself with my person. So that's a really big one for me. So, what about you?
Question. I'm sorry. Connectivity issues.
Not keep a little dirt under the pillow, Lord Jesus. Are you there, Chu? Can't hear you. Are you talking?
I
Chu?
did.
Say that again. Can you not hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, there you go. So I was saying, so what are your how do you view the love languages versus your kinks? You still not getting it? I don't know why.
As soon as you ask the question. Uh. Though I don't see that it's happening like on there. So I think.
Mhm. Okay, so let's do this. Can everybody else hear me?
Hello.
If if not, I can switch it up. First time for everything. All right. Is that better? Can you hear me now, too?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. So my question was, what is your viewpoint when it comes to the love languages and kinks?
Without the headphones, I'm just gonna say. But it just glitches in and out. But I heard the question.
Okay.
So my viewpoint is very similar to Sam's. It obviously some of them correlate and some of them don't. I think learned behaviors, and I think that a lot of them have, like, my top love language is words of affirmation. it's my top love language now, especially with the person that I'm ebbs and flows. Um, but my prime brat and um, some things correlate and some things don't, but I do find it bends kind of not so much based on my personal partner receives love, which is like the other side of it, because that is 100% praise and degradation, which is interesting because I like words of I play more into acts of service, which is where the submissive.
Hmm. Okay. So I will say I haven't thought about how they relate to each other when it comes to either being submissive or dominant. So especially considering I can play in either realm. And I give very much Brad energy. It's my favorite thing about life. It's definitely my favorite thing when it comes to life in general. Um, but I think one of the things, especially for anybody who is interested in the lifestyle and particularly, I think understanding whether you stay within the realm of the five love languages, the general ones, or you kind of venture outside of that, I think it is very I think it is very imperative and necessary to probably know what your love languages are, because I think if you understand what that is, it may help a little bit more as you're navigating the arena of BDSM. Because let's be 100% honest, you can get into the lifestyle and mess around and do it extremely wrong and have a really horrible experience and be scarred for life. I've met a couple of people who they are good now, but the way that they were introduced into the lifestyle was borderline, if not full on abusive. So it like it caused a lot of trauma for them. So being able to trust somebody when it comes to um, the lifestyle in itself is like a really really big thing. Like trust and consent are like the pure foundation of anything dealing with BDSM. And being able to know yourself, know your nose, know what you're willing to try, test out, all that kind of stuff, how you want to be treated in this life. And I would say Sam is probably one of the best, if not the best, example of that I have personally met so far in this lifestyle. Because one thing about her, two things for sure, she gonna tell you up front how you gonna treat her, and if you can't treat her that way, baby, she's not gonna deal with it. She's not gonna deal with it at all. And a lot of people make the assumption that, oh, just because you're submissive, you got to take whatever. And that's not the case. You have a lot more power than most people realize as a submissive, because you have the power to
All the
say
power
no.
as
True. Oh, you're muted. Yes.
As a submissive, you are the key. Like, you are the house and you are the key. So at any time you can close the door, take your key back. As a submissive, I think your most valuable power is in your voice. And so we can't expect dominance to give us and help us co-create this kink experience for us, because it has to be mutually beneficial. Even as a service submissive, there has to be a reason as to why I'm submitting to you. I ain't submitting no fuck nigga. I have to make sure that when I submit, because I am the nastiest, filthiest submissive I know on the planet, and I can bet my whole life on it. You will not get the honor of that privilege unless you have shown yourself worthy of it. And so for me as a submissive, my most powerful tool, besides my mouth and my throat, is my voice. And I'm actually giving I'm honoring my body. I'm honoring my spirit. I'm honoring my spirits that walk with me by saying, this is what you're not going to do. So this, I think some people come into it thinking that kink has to be this textbook way, and it isn't. This is co-created. You are co-creating your experience. And so your voice is important. I will tell a dom in a minute, I value monogamy. So while I have many friends that are poly in this life, I've been a submissive, formally trained for 12 and a half years. If I am not an exclusive submissive for you, you cannot have me. And that's just straight up. I don't want to share. I'm also a pet. So I want my owner to be able to be, to keep me a certain kind of way. And I be damned if I see another submissive on a collar being walked by my damn dom. I'll freak out. I will claw her face off. Like, but you're able to say that. You're able to say, no, that ain't what I want. This is not what feels honoring to me. So I think when we have this conversation, it's so important, Irene, like you always hit the nail on the head with giving people like the basics of knowing who you are. Like knowing who you are, like you said, is important for a dom and a submissive, because a dominant needs to know who he or she is in order to provide the level of care that a submissive needs. If you are not taking care of yourself as a dom, how the hell are you going to take care of a submissive? And I mean that in all ways. Like emotionally, if you're not taking care of yourself, how are you going to be able to take care of a submissive? Like, physically, if you're not taking care of yourself, monetarily, because that's the thing that most submissives and doms don't talk about. I'm expensive. I'm expensive. So because I'm expensive,
Come on,
I have certain
expensive.
expectations of my dom because I'm expensive. And in return, you get the all the everything, but I'm expensive. So those are things we don't want to talk about because we don't want to seem like gold diggers. But you need to talk. So if he or she, because I'm pansexual, so if he or she cannot accommodate the financial obligations of being my dom, I can't entertain it. I gotta be happy. To make you happy, I gotta be
Period.
happy.
Period. Now, one other thing that I kind of ran across, because if y'all follow me on pretty much anywhere but TikTok, y'all will see some of the stuff that I repost on a regular basis. So y'all know I follow a whole bunch of crazy different pages, right? So, a post that I came across, it says there are 5 sex languages. There's fun, so somebody who loves to be spontaneous and creative during sex. Desire, so you love to be chased. Pleasure, somebody who loves to explore and be explored. Patience, loves to take their time. And then the fifth one is acceptance and celebration. So a person who loves being valued for exactly who they are. Now, just like with any, all the regular love languages and everything, and with many kinks, everything is a blend. I don't think anybody is just one or two specific things. I do believe that everybody is a blend, because I'll be 100% honest, except for patience. Patience is probably at the very bottom for me. Because sometimes, me and patience just, we don't go together. Because I be like, I want it now.
I
So,
want it when I want it, when I need it.
you know what I mean? And so, but I be having to remind myself to chill out sometimes. But that's
Mm.
beside the point. But like, I feel like everybody can see themselves or see some type of, I am a brat. And I love being a brat. So what? Uh, but I feel like there's a blend of that for everybody.
Right.
Now, for me, ooh, I'm gonna be honest with you. Two, which is desire, and the fifth one being the acceptance and celebration, I feel are like neck and neck for me, because it's something about, one, you accept me as I am, where I am, and you desire every part of me, that just turns it up for me. It's just like a word, okay. Because here go T. Baby, you saw what it was when you saw me and you wanted to come holler at me. So let's not act like this is some brand new shit and we didn't know what the fuck was finna happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then if you fun, because I know I'm fun, because experimentation is.
It's hard
I'm
on that.
not. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not Sam nasty.
Is that gonna be the verb now? I'm not
Yeah,
Sam nasty.
It's
I'm not
Okay,
terrible.
saying.
It's
Sam
really
nasty.
bad. It's real
Yeah, no, no,
bad.
no.
It's
I've
It ain't
had.
bad, Sam. It's just who you are, boo.
Yeah,
You ain't
no,
gonna
it's
call
not
it
bad.
bad.
I'm
You're not
not gonna
gonna
say
call it
that.
nothing. It's
Cause
Sam
baby, listen,
nasty.
I
That's
don't. I
what it
don't just.
is.
I don't just nobody's young.
No,
Okay.
baby, no.
But I didn't talk to my good sis. I done had conversations with her, so I know what I know about her. Right, right. Okay. So me knowing what I know about her, I'm not that grown. I ain't that grown just yet. I ain't that grown just yet. Not
Ooh,
sure if I ever will be that grown. I don't
ooh.
know.
Not the call out in the comments. So.
It's anyway. We're gonna keep going.
Okay,
Anyway,
we gonna roll. We gonna
we're
roll.
gonna roll right
We
past
gonna
that.
roll right back.
And is,
It's fine.
and is.
It's fine.
But
So you a combination of pleasure and acceptance, or I'm
as
sorry,
far as
desire
my
and acceptance.
desire and acceptance from the top two,
Okay.
because there has to be a balance. 'Cause I need you to lust over me just as much as I'm gonna lust over you.
Correct. I feel like
Because
that's
the moment there's an imbalance, things get a little funky around there.
right. I yeah, but you see that all too often where it is an imbalance. So I do think that that's like a really key factor. I would say the desire portion and the pleasure portion, but because I like to not necessarily for myself because I mean I'm gonna get it regardless, but I like to provide that, and that is really my main objective.
Hmm.
We had this conversation too where it was like, when I think about doing the do, um,
You can say whatever you want to say on
oh,
here.
that's why we're on YouTube.
We're
Yes.
on
Yes,
the YouTube.
we're on YouTube. So when it comes down to having sex, my first thought is not about me.
Right.
And it was definitely like, okay, 70% I'm thinking about, oh, I'm trying to do this to that person. I'm
Hmm.
trying to make sure that they have a
Hmm.
great time. And then the 30% is just like, oh yeah, yeah, I should get one in there too, somewhere in there. So I'm definitely pleasure driven, but the desire is nice, especially, and I don't know if anybody else is experiencing this, where it hasn't always been the case.
I can understand that.
Right. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're in a new
It,
avenue of my sex life and my lifestyle
listen.
at this point. So
Period.
period.
Because
We're somewhere
it's,
else.
baby, let me tell you something. Because it's like the pandemic hit, and when I say reset button, everything that
And
just
it
went.
really was the reset button. And I'm still learning things about, how I do like to be treated and the things that I do care about in this aspect.
Right.
But some of them things ain't changing. Like I your pleasure comes before mine. And that's just how I like it.
Right.
So
So I
I
don't
would
know if mine is, and I can't remember the number I gave you because I remember having this conversation because I remember we
I
kind of talked on
he
this
said
too.
60/40.
Yeah, I feel like the 60/40 is probably a little bit closer to me because don't get me wrong, I definitely, to a certain extent, I definitely prioritize the other person's pleasure. But it just so happens that also while prioritizing their pleasure, I tend to get pleasure too.
Right.
So it's kind of like it's a little bit of
It's
a
in
catch
there, but
because,
I'm worried about getting her to glory. And
amen.
then I'll worry about myself.
Right.
By the time she get there, I've already got there about 4 times. I don't walk back to the gate, walk back up.
Hmm.
Yeah.
We didn't ran up the hill and touched the button a couple of times by this point.
By that time,
Hmm. It's a fun thing. You hear me?
it is a fun
Uh,
thing.
but I also think when you can have moments of prioritizing someone else's pleasure, and and it's like you're not stressed about yours. I feel like you have a lot more fun.
That I think that is more so why I do it, because in a previous relationship when I was still dating men, it became sex wasn't fun. It was a means to an end. It was a job.
Yeah.
And so it was like, okay, let me get this done quickly. And now, because I took quite some time away from sex and everything. And now, like, that I have kind of a newfound respect and another way of looking at sex, I enjoy it so much more because these comments threw me off. I can't. I enjoy it so much more that I'm, especially with your
Definitely.
partner, definitely dictates that's I'll say that. So the change
I
in
It's not
fear and the
good.
change in partner has really
It
changed a lot
does.
of things.
I know being submissive, I think sometimes like, you know, people think that like as a submissive or any S type, because brats do fall under an S type, you know, and um any S type, we're perceived as our pleasure comes last. And I think that that's so weird because for me, and again, kink is not cookie cutter. So BDSM is not cookie cutter, and there's layers to BDSM, especially for people of color. So for me, as a submissive, 100% submissive, but my pleasure comes first. And there, and that's a conversation that I have with suitors, is that my pleasure is going to come first. It is in my pleasure that I'm able to please you. It's because I am fully taken care of and I'm able to give you the gift of my submission because you are honoring the fact that my pleasure needs to be centered for so many reasons. Like I remember we had this conversation about BDSM and mental health on
Mhm.
one of the Queendomme's videos. You'll be able to find it. And because a lot of us are navigating trauma from previous relationships, trauma ancestrally, sexual trauma, emotional trauma, family trauma, whatever the case may be, some of us are working those kinks out through the act and service of BDSM. And I don't think that people consider BDSM and BDSM and kink as a healing modality, but it definitely is. And case in point, when we talk about kinks, I have a CNC kink. So that's consensual non-consent. And so for me, a lot of people think that it's a, you know, people think it's rape kink, and I want to be the first to say it is absolutely not that. Now for those that think of it in that way, cool. But for someone who is a survivor of such an act, I don't see it as that. I see it as a reclamation of my power. So because we've had this previous conversation, which Irene spoke about, concerning consent in advance, we have intricately taken it apart. This is what I have navigated in my life. Being completely raw and open and honest with a potential Dom for submissives, and for Doms, because I like to devil's advocate this, for Doms, some Doms have had sexual trauma. Some Doms have had emotional trauma. Some Doms have had, you know, all types of trauma. So for each other to be a safe space and pick apart before you engage in consensual non-consent, picking apart, you know, showing each other your cards, you're able to create this experience that nobody feels like they are being triggered. And in that, you're able to reclaim your power. So for consensual non-consent, that's a must in any relationship that I'm in. And so that blanket consent is so healing for me because my body never felt like it belonged to me when there was no consent. And in consensual non-consent, I know that my body belongs to me and that I am sharing it consensually with someone that honors all of it, even the pain that the body has endured. So I really feel like I have to prioritize my pleasure, like my ecstasy, and my journey, so that I can be the absolute very best submissive that I possibly can be. That's just how I see it.
Now I will say to that point, some of the things that have to happen for me where the I can fully pleasure a person, like I'm talking about no holds bars, everything go. Like If outside the bedroom, if I don't feel safe with you, if I don't feel connected to you, if I don't feel cared for, loved, like all of these things, if there's no happiness when I think about you, there's absolutely no way you're going to get that part of me that is looking to please you. It's not going to happen. Right. So, and then I do want to make sure, because Britt had a really good question, which is there such thing as a sub dom?
A switch.
Which, yeah, I was about to say, which is the same thing as a switch.
It's
A person that can either be a submissive or a dominant. Kind of depends on the situation, what's going on with them, and whomever they are dealing with at that time, i.e., me, because depending on how you go, not everybody pulling the submissive out of me is not an easy task. And somebody gonna say it's easy.
But
It's
look,
not as
even with a sub dom, which we want to call a switch in the community, I can be, now this isn't applicable to me because I'm submissive all the time, but this is for example purposes. If I'm with Irene, I could be a dom. If I'm with Choopy, I could be a sub. So it's just like you can, as a sub dom, as a switch, you based on the person you're with, you might switch it, and because this person needs this energy, you're able to be that. So it definitely is a thing where depending on who you're with, you could top somebody or bottom a person. It just depends on the energy of your partners. And a pleasure dom was what I think Choopy talked about before, but indirectly, but it is someone who centers the pleasure of a submissive. You're not getting off until they've gotten off several times. It almost feel like torture. It almost feels like torture, like a good torture, but your center is pleasure. So you don't get
it's the
come
telling
or
on
not.
two.
Like it doesn't matter if you come or not. You trying to make her come or him come over and over and over, and you derive pleasure from the fact that you're withholding sometimes. You're withholding, making the submissive withhold her orgasm. You're doing all of those things just to see the reaction. And, it's just, that's what a pleasure dom is. They just center pleasure.
You okay, Chupi? You got yourself together?
Choopy's experienced a pleasure dom.
Yes.
That's how they make you feel.
Yes,
Oh
I have.
shit!
I have absolutely experienced the pleasure dome. First one in
Hilarious.
my life, and that was, yep.
Gotta do it.
That a glitch. You want to talk about a glitch? Like, wait,
Mm. So what happened? What had happened was
look. When I say I ain't got no more, I ain't got no more. Damn it.
say that tap out be real, be like, hey, hey,
Tell
hey,
her, you can
listen.
tell a pleasure dome because you always get that. You got one more. You got one
Yeah,
more.
you can do
Let me
this.
get one more.
It's all right. You can do it again. It's all right. Come on, you got another one in you for me.
It's not a vending machine.
Man, yeah, depending on how you look at it.
If you look at it with your head turned to the side, maybe.
Uh, and on a Tuesday, and on a Tuesday. Come on, turn your head to the side. Oh, come on, explain it in text. Like tell me, yeah, we gonna go and put that up there real quick. Mm.
Right. Use your words. That's what I always say. Use your words. When
Hey,
I hear
baby, she good with the words.
when
So
I hear a dom tell me to use my words, I'm like, ooh, okay.
no,
Yes.
no. See,
I have to be reminded. I'm one. I'm gonna tell you something. I have to be reminded because I'm gone. I'm
listen.
gone. I didn't disappear from this ancestral plane.
At
I
that
have
at
to be
that point,
reminded to use
right?
the words.
Because at that point, what are words? What? All I got is a sound for you. That's it. That's all I got. I got a sound. You gonna have to decipher what the sound is, because I can't. Brain gone. What? Mm. Not that's my line. I can't hear you. Whew. Interesante, I tell you. Okay. So one of the things I did go
Ain't your
today.
new?
Oop, you better say something you don't need to say.
I about to put my business out, but I'm not finna do that.
Okay, okay. Let's love how we catch shit. You know
It's
what
a
I'm
You
saying?
safe
know,
space. It's a safe space.
this.
Why am I being told to hush? I was about to change the subject. Anyway,
Come on, move along.
moving on. Um, so one of the things I did go do today, because I was like, okay, we just seen about the five love languages. I saw another thing that said something about eight love languages or something like that at one point in time. Um, and so I decided to go look up how many kinks are there because we know it's an endless list. Close your mouth, Chupi. Thank you. All right. So the largest list I found was 239 to a
Everybody in
fetish.
there somewhere. Everybody's in there somewhere. With that many?
Listen, because here's the funny thing about it: the things that most people feel are not kinks or fetishes, they probably are.
Mm-hmm.
Most people like, I ain't into all that weird, crazy stuff. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You just didn't know it had a name and it was a part of the lifestyle. But I'm gonna let you stay over there in Vanilla Land
Yeah.
because
I want to be vanilla, and I don't understand people. Oh, I'm so vanilla, but a list of 200 some odd things. You're probably not as vanilla as you think.
right. I
Though you
mean,
may
what?
be. I mean, we are all very much giving vanilla compared to Sam, but
That's true.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I'm cool. I'm cool. It's okay.
So let's see. Because I ain't gonna hold you. Some of them, I had to look at and go, what? So there's an abduction kink. It's a kink where the abductor or kidnapper treats the victim in a loving manner.
Or I immediately went alien, like abduction.
So that kind of falls under CNC though. Like it can fall under CNC. It can. It's one of like the little subs of CNC.
So
That
it's
makes
like some of these things fall under like larger umbrellas.
Yep.
Sam. Okay.
Yeah. So when people are like, no, I don't have that, but wait a minute, you might. you, you might, because like a breeding kink, people would be like, I don't really have a breeding kink. So you mean to tell me, this is YouTube, you mean to tell me that you don't like to see cum on your titties? Because I do. Like, you mean to tell me that you don't like to see it in you? Because there's a cum kink. Like, people have a cum.
Right.
Like, you might not be a breeding kink where you're not like, it doesn't have to be in the vagina, but you might have a cum kink, which means you like to see it on your face. You like to see it on your titties. You like to see it on you, on your back,
You,
on your
you
wherever.
like being a toaster strudel.
That's still a cum kink, which is similar to a breeding kink. It's just not in, it's on.
Right.
I have that, by the way, but just self-disclosing, and in case my future dominant is watching. Hi, Daddy.
Come on now. I need to set up, you know what? I'm going to set up a portion on my website for all my friends when they be on here and they be like, they looking for somebody. And I'll be like, hey, just go straight to the website and, submit your information here. And I'll make sure the appropriate people get it. Just saying. Now, I did not know this had a name, but autofellatio. So it's a kink where a man performs a blowjob on himself.
It's cool to watch. I will say that.
Listen, I'm not
That's
gonna
cool to
lie,
watch.
because I done seen a couple of videos and I be like, huh. It's like there's a whole lot of going on.
I'm like, and
That
your ribs don't hurt.
like you just
You really just
fold
you
it
just
up like that.
definitely pulled a whole flip phone. Just all right, got that. Yeah.
Not the flip phone.
I mean,
Oh, okay. So I've had this done both in a danger Jesus dungeon situation
mhm.
as well as in a doctor's office. But it's cupping, so it's small cups or jars applied upside down on the body, usually the back. Fire or hand pump creates suction that results in temporary bruising and a tight feeling.
Mhm.
Oddly enough, two different scenarios. In each scenario, generated a very different sensation with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the first time I had it done, I was in a dungeon. The second time I was at an acupuncturist office. And I ain't gonna hold you, I was just thinking in my head, like, okay, when she put this shit on your back, Irene, I'm gonna need you to act like you got some damn sense. Because I remember how I felt at the dungeon. And I was like, I need to make sure we ain't up in here acting a goddamn fool in this goddamn office. You know what I'm saying?
The
So
sensation is interesting, but it's the looking at it. I'm like, it's the dots. But I have like tryptophobia, so no,
that's interesting. Well, it's on my back, so I couldn't see it. So
right. But me knowing is there, I'd be like, no,
You missing the dots.
the circles.
I hate it.
the,
I hate it too. I don't like
hate
it.
it. My skin be itching. I can't. I
not
be
my
like,
skin
oh
being itching,
no. But
Jesus.
if you like it, if you like it, I love it. But
So now this particular one probably explains why there are so many interesting shaped dildos out there.
mm-hmm.
If you've ever been to Exotica, baby, you will see
I'm so excited for Exotica this year.
everything, everything. So this one is called Dracophilia, a fetish for dragons. Fantasy fetish companies such as Bad Dragons make dragon dildos, including those
Mm-hmm.
that ejaculate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's that whole fantasy genre with like the tentacles, the dragon parts, other aquatic animals with things of that nature.
It's it's a
It's a
it's a
thing.
it is a thing, and I think that was the most interesting part about going to Exotica was seeing those things. Cause like I knew they existed. I've been selling shit for a longest time, but to see them in person is a totally different. Like I was like, and they are not small
They're big.
by any stretch of the
I was
imagination.
just about to say that, like, they're usually huge, but I will say they're so textured that they don't necessarily have to be for insertion,
Also
which
facts.
I think is really cool.
That's also facts because it could definitely be a grinding tool,
Yes,
but
we love a
it
good
you know.
grinder. If you don't get that out of here, do not take that Disney movie, child.
Well, it's terrible, terrible. But also seeing the people dressed up because they come decked out. I'm talking about whatever. If they're a pet, it was people dressed in their pet uniform outfit. Not sure what you want to call it. It was a couple of people being walked. I don't know. I don't know how to refer to it right now.
It's just
Sam's gonna have to.
it's just our pet persona, just like our pet energy. Like just
She on this side.
yeah. And we go all out. So I presented at Exotica for 2 years in a row in different places, but you will not see what you're used to seeing. So when you think about a pet, like me, I'm a kitty. So when you think about like a kitty, you're gonna be like, oh, she has the cute little ears on and the cute little collar. But we will absolutely at Exotica have a whole butt plug in that has a tail. Like you'll see the butt plug with the tail. Like these are like ways that you can really like look at things from a kink perspective. If you haven't been to a dungeon, if you haven't been to a play party, this is your opportunity to kind of introduce yourself to the big world of kink, keeping in mind that it is the big white world of kink. So
Very
those
much
of
so.
us that show up as Black people, which there is, tracks that you could see things with people that look like you, queer people, queer Black people. Most of us give seminar series so that you can experience Black people in kink. But it's important for Black people to show up at Exotica so that people understand that we are not going to fit in with you. We're going to create a seat at the table for ourselves. You may
Right.
not have a seat at that table for us, but we're coming prepared and ready to create and pull out our own chairs and sit at our own tables. So that's important for Black people in kink to show up, even though it's saturated like this. It's important for them to see who we are and that our kink is a little different without the fetishing of our Black bodies, without like all of that bullshit. And some of us like to be fetished, but a lot of us do the fuck not. And so it's important to show up at Exotica. DC Exotica is notoriously um, known for having a more Black experience. So if you go to DC Exotica, you're going to see a lot of us. If you come to Miami Exotica, you will not see a lot of us. But that is changing, as some of us have spoken to each other in community and other circles, and we're like, yo, sis, yo, bro, show up. So you will see like your favorite Kinksters. I hope I'm one of them, but you will see us like Daddy Hef, like Tyomi. You will see all of us showing up to let others know, y'all come on in. There's space for us.
Right.
There was like a whole bunch of kink houses that were Black there in Exotica Miami when I presented 2 years ago. So I don't know. I encourage everybody, but if you're in the DC area, you should try to go to DC.
That's
Yeah.
where I'm close to DC, and we're trying to go to DC Exotica this year, so I'm
You'll
excited.
see a lot of Black people in DC Exotica.
Yeah, DC Exotica is definitely on the menu. But I would definitely say I think that was one of my, well, let me go back. That was one of the biggest things for me when I first started to learn about BDSM because, like you said, very much, whitewashed. And it like we experience it so much differently. And a lot of it has to do with just, the history of black people in America or whatever the case may be. It's a lot of things that we gonna, skirt, you gonna have the powers on play. We ain't doing that. You know what I'm saying? And to find people that look like me in this space and understand what I mean when I ask certain questions and why I ask them that way. Because I've gone to the classes at the dungeons and I was like the only black person in there. And I ask a question and you can tell the confusion on the person, on the teacher's face, because they're not understanding why that's a question for me, or they don't know how to connect with that particular question because that's not a, a lived experience for them. You know what I mean? So that's another reason why, as nervous as I was about bringing the show back, I know it's a necessary thing because I love being able to bring people on the show that look like us to talk about these things, and that way we can put it in terms that make sense for the rest of our community. You know what I mean?
It's
But
important because you've done it. I really appreciate what you've done because, when we talk about Black kink and people are like, why Black kink? Why not? Because our ancestors did not have the agency over their bodies to say yes or no. Their no was not respected. Their pain was not respected. Their pleasure was not respected. And so, you know, these Black kink spaces, Black affirming kink spaces are not good enough. We need Black kink spaces because it really makes a difference. There is a such thing for me, and I've seen it all the time, where kink is colonized, and I just won't let anybody colonize my kink, because I come from a spiritual perspective. When I talk about kink, that spirituality has everything to do with the Black ancestors that walk with me. So by me saying no and that no being respected, by me saying yes and that yes being respected, honors those ancestors. So when I'm kneeling, I'm actually kneeling and healing at the same time because I'm healing what they weren't able to do. Like they weren't able to have full autonomy over their bodies and stuff. So choosing to be a slave as a Black person, which is heavy for a lot of Black submissives when they say, I think I want to identify as a slave. Well, we have to unpack that a little bit because there could be some trauma in that ancestrally. So having these spaces where when you ask a question, your question isn't looked at like, why are you asking that? Well, we're asking it because our experience is different. And so I'm
right,
so glad that you offer a space for people to talk about that, for Black people
of
to talk.
course, of course, and that's the other thing about it. Like, I also want it to be a safe space for it because I know, for a lot of people, you tell them, "Oh, I want to identify as a slave," they're gonna look at you like, "Excuse me, what? Are you okay? What's wrong?" And it's in not necessarily in a concerned way, but in a very judgmental way. And it's like I don't want anyone to come into any space or watch any of the videos that I've posted or anything like that and feel judged by anything that interests them when it comes to kink, BDSM, or whatever it is. Identify how you want to identify in the lifestyle, um, safely, practice any fetish or kink that you want to practice within the lifestyle. But also understand that yes, a lot of this can be very healing because you get to take ownership and power. Because going back, you mentioned the episode where we talked about BDSM and mental health. And one of the things that we talked about is like, if you're a person who's been through an abusive relationship and now you find yourself enjoying something like being choked. For some people, that can be a mind fuck because you're like, how is it that now I enjoy this thing that at one point caused so much trauma, fear, and hurt to me. And the biggest thing around it is that you realize that now you have the power over it because you can tell it, you can say when to stop. Because at that point, when it was done to you as an abuse thing, you could say stop all you wanted to if you were able to say stop and it was not acknowledged. Now your no, your stop, your safe word, not her dropping us, Jesus.
I
Oh,
had to.
I had
And
to.
oh,
I
that's
was
the
looking. I'm
prop.
trying to grab like a shot and not do it on camera.
girl, take the shot. We ain't
Praise
on
you,
TikTok.
girl. We's not
We,
on
we
TikTok.
ain't on TikTok, girl. Take the
I
shot.
always forget because TikTok banned me. So my
But
TikTok
we is not on TikTok, girl.
have
You
a
take the
TikTok.
shot. You is totally fine. But now you have the control of that situation because those things have to be honored. The no's, the stops, the whatever your safe word is, those things have to be honored. And if they're not, you can end you know, all relationship connection, whatever it is to that person, um, in that moment. So it is a beautiful thing that gives you a lot of power back. It gives you like Sam said, it gives you the autonomy over your body. And I my biggest goal is to help as many people as possible open up their minds to at the very least understanding the lifestyle a little bit better. I understand it may not be for everybody. That's totally fine. That is totally fine. Like for me, I like having my foot in the lifestyle. I know I know a couple, baby, they live it 24/7. That is their entire dynamic.
Right.
Is the like I can't do that. At least not the way that they do it. Granted, it's also a white couple. And baby, the way they handle their situation, I'd be like, because I
Dark.
show up right. I show up way too dominant in my everyday life for that. She shows up very submissive in her everyday life. I don't.
That's
So
like
it wouldn't work.
that's a high protocol relationship. That's what we call it in the kink community. That's what I endeavor to have. Like a high protocol, whether you are around family or friends, because there are different protocols in kink. I want that. That is my manifestation, is to have a very high protocol DS relationship.
Yeah, I don't think.
Girl,
I don't think.
I hope you get it. I
I
just
do.
wanted to chime in before the subject gets too far away from it.
But
That I do think it's incredibly important, and I'll just speak from my own experience for Black people to have a safe space, and it's like from people, but also from other Black people, because Black people. Because I remember
mhm.
when I first like expressed interest in now, like Irene, I got my foot in there, but I don't do the super deep. I don't aspire to have a relationship like Sam. But Sam, I hope you get it, boo. I hope you get it, boo. But I remember with an ex, or I expressed an interest in coloring just because I just like it. I not just like, oh, I like jewelry. That's not that, but more so what it represents. And oh, the shame,
Girl.
just the shame and the it, I was like, okay, and I just shut up. And a lot of I became really repressed in that way, where I'm like, I'm not, because I don't want anybody to think that I'm weird and da 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 da. And now, and especially after linking it with Irene, I don't care no more. I'll be like, oh, I want to tattoo
Exactly.
such and such name on my pinky toe, like Toy Story,
Listen.
and everybody's just like, okay.
Right. Because
And I
and
love
that's the
that. I
thing
love
about it.
having community. Having community will open you up to so many things, and it's not just having like a partner who is understanding, because even if your partner does not agree with everything that you have to say, they're not into everything you have to say, you have a choice.
Right.
You have a choice in that, and you can choose another partner, or y'all can move around to something else. But having friends and community where you're like, well, I'm into this and I'm into this, and everybody's just like, cool, well, what's that?
Right.
Or, oh yeah, I did that, and they can share their experiences. It is really affirming. So it's been the greatest.
It, it is. And like I said, it's oddly enough, TikTok was the catalyst for it because a lot of people I met via TikTok. A few people through Instagram, but majority through TikTok. But that has been, I think, the hugest thing that has helped me stand firm in what it is that I know I want and the things that I want now, which also have turned into I can quickly tell somebody, nah, player, you ain't trying to play over here. I swear to God, this is not what you want. Cause no. That sound real cute what you talking about, but I promise you, you come over here, you finna get a whole nother situation and you gonna go running up out of here. So let's just not. Let's not even go down that road. But y'all, we coming to the end of the show because it's only an hour. Jesus, time went by. Okay, this was good. I
Fine
enjoyed it. This
pie.
was fun. So I want y'all to go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you if you want to.
No. You can find me on Instagram under Samantha Odoyale, and there is in my bio is my link tree, and it has different things that I'm going to be doing upcoming. An opportunity to book time with me for kink and BDSM coaching. They're usually about 30 minutes in duration, unless we need more time than that. So in on Instagram, the link to my link tree and the booking is there.
Okay, I guess she was there now.
Oh,
Uh,
mean, you can find me on TikTok at, or maybe that's my Instagram. It might be my Instagram or my TikTok. I don't really know. Um, it's Choopy. You can usually find me where you can find Irene. I'm usually around there somewhere in the crowd because I don't truly like to be up here and be the front of anything, but I'll be around. You'll see me.
she do be around. She be around. And per usual, y'all know Irene the Passion Queen across everything. I'm gonna make sure everything is linked under the video for everybody. But make sure y'all go over to the Queendom uh, and get your copy of Vacation, the Purple Dungeon, as well as the Sexual Awakening Journal. I promise y'all I'm gonna do better about talking about the journal because I be real hush hush over here. Because that thing be sparking a little bit of imposter syndrome in my ass. And so I be struggling with it some days. But it's fine. We're gonna get past it because we're here. But I thank everybody who came in, watched the show, commented, all the good stuff. Some of the comments, Lord help the children. But that's fine. My people, Jesus, my people. Um, so I'm I can't promise they gonna do it. I may head back over to TikTok, hit on live for a little bit. Cause why the fuck not? It's only 8 o'clock. So yeah, appreciate y'all for coming and thanks. Bye.
Bye.